If you're looking for an entry-level espresso machine that's just a cut above the rest of the pack, you're in the right place. Let's talk about the Ascaso Dream PID. Now, even though this is the entry-level offering from the Spanish espresso machine manufacturer Ascaso, they have managed to cram almost the entire feature set of their more expensive machines into this one, and those machines are already very competitive in their price bracket. In this video, I'm going to show you how this machine compares to those ones, how it fits into the overall landscape of home espresso machines, and all the pros and cons of it, as well as its features. But first, I want to let you know that this unit was sent to me by my partners at Espresso Parts. They sell Ascaso machines on their website along with many other brands of espresso machines, and they also sell through the Ascaso USA website. Now, I'd reached out to them and said, hey, would you send me one of these over for review, because I was getting a lot of questions from you about it. They haven't seen or reviewed this video, and it's no way sponsored by them or Ascaso. All right, so with that out of the way, let's look at the Dream. Now, in terms of where this fits into the overall landscape of home espresso machines, this is a really value and feature rich offering. It's great if you kind of want to move above the types of espresso machines that you would find at like Williams Sonoma, but you don't really want to break the bank either. It's priced somewhat similarly to the Profitec Go, but it offers a lot of extra features for the money, and we'll talk about what those are in just a sec. Now, when you take this machine out of the box and put it on your counter, it makes a statement almost right away. It comes in all these crazy colors, and it's got this retro, futuristic type styling with these nice curves. It's got these wood accents that give it a nice polished feel. But what's interesting is they're kind of like a love it or hate it type thing, and some people love it. They're like, this is like my end game machine, and other people, they don't like it. I kind of talk about it like a pineapple on pizza type thing. If you like it, you really like it, and if you don't, it's a real turnoff for you. Now, for the people who don't love the styling, they generally tend to gravitate more towards the styling of the Uno and the Duo with its squared off looks. But on the whole, most people seem to love the styling and the first impression of the Dream. And to be honest, between me and my wife Sarah, out of their entire line, this machine is her favorite to have on the counter. I think it just looks fun, like a fun machine to use and to have on your counter, and it is. As far as materials go, the base here is made out of metal. It's got this nice matte finish, and everything else on the machine is either wood or metal. You have this metal drip tray down here, the switches are metal, the portafilter on it is really nice and beefy, and it feels like a very solid machine to use. It's very easy to clean, it's got this metal cup rail, and it's got these nice lights in the water reservoir that just kind of give it a nice little touch. Now, as you start to get inside the machine, things start to get pretty impressive. It's got that 58mm industry standard portafilter, and it's E61 compatible. So any kind of mainline portafilter, bottomless, if you want to upgrade, it's going to fit on this machine. And it's powered by one of Ascaso's thermocoils. It's an all metal hot water path, and Ascaso has really kind of leaned in to this thermocoil tech. And I'm a big fan of this tech for home users for a few reasons. Number one has got to be the warm-up time. Until you try it, it's hard to believe how quickly these machines get up to temperature and ready to pull espresso. Like, we're talking like 2 minutes here. When you got kids running around or you're running late in the morning, like, the last thing you want is to be waiting 15 minutes for your espresso machine to warm up so that you can pull a cup of coffee. Now, the machine doesn't just heat up quickly. Because of the design of where the thermocoil sits, it also actively heats the group head. Now, this is something that some other machines in a similar design aren't able to do. You need to flush water through the portafilter. It's kind of a bummer. This will get the portafilter piping hot, and that speeds up your workflow in the morning even more. Also, the thermocoil design, as opposed to a boiler style design, it doesn't just heat up quickly. It's gonna draw fresh water from this reservoir every time, which in contrast to a boiler, you know, you have this hot boiler full of water that if you don't use it all, or you only pull one shot, that water is going to stay in there, it'll cool down, it'll get hot again, cool down, hot again, and it just is nice to have a design that pulls fresh water for every shot of coffee that you're going to drink. And with the PID version of this machine, it's going to deliver that water at a perfectly consistent temperature right to the group head. Now, on top of that, it's a lot more efficient than a boiler style machine. That's because it's going to need to spend a lot less time on. It only heats the water up as it needs it, and then you can turn the machine off when you're done. You don't need to worry about leaving it on so it stays hot. It's got that standby mode, and overall it's a lot more efficient than comparable machines that use a boiler design. One other feature that I really like about the thermocoil design Ascaso has gone with is it's stainless steel lined, so it's going to be a lot less prone to lime scale buildup, which is really great. You know, I've said this before, but I really think that good thermocoil designs are where the future is for most home baristas. They're faster, they're more efficient, in some ways they're more consistent, and if they're done well, they're just a really good design. Now, once you move beyond the general design of this machine in terms of, you know, kind of how it's put together, it's got a lot of really cool features that are just packed in that you don't see in other machines in this price point. And that's because Ascaso has taken the engineering that has gone into its more expensive machines and deployed it in this more affordable package. You have this easily adjustable OPV. It's just a little tiny screw right here. You just shove a screwdriver in there and you can adjust the pressure of your machine in about 60 seconds. You have that PID that allows you to adjust the temperature by degree of your espresso. And it's got that programmable pre-infusion, which allows you to kind of pre-soak the beans to allow them to extract a little bit better. Now, as far as steaming goes, that's the one area where thermocoils are going to kind of lag behind a boiler machine a little bit. For 6 ounces of milk, it took me about 45 seconds-ish to steam it, and honestly, I think that's kind of okay for most home users. You know, this is not going to be a machine that's used in a cafe setting where you're going to want to move from 45 down to 30 or 20 seconds of like a really big, powerful boiler. I even saw this cool hack that people were doing online where they would open the steam valve here as the espresso was pulling and kind of use that as a mechanism to pressure surf their machine. Now, that's probably not going to be the most repeatable thing you could do, but it is really cool to see people doing these kind of techniques that are usually not possible on machines of this price. So it's got a lot going for it overall, honestly. And does that make it the be-all end-all machine at this price? Well, maybe not. There are a couple things that you're going to want to consider as you look at machines like this, and honestly, every espresso machine is going to have compromises, this one included. That's not just true at this price point, that's true with machines that cost twice as much and machines that cost half as much. So where are they on this machine? Like I said, because of that thermocoil design, you get that super fast warm up and consistently delivered fresh water coming out every time. The trade-off of that, as I mentioned, is the reduction in steam power, which is going to add a couple seconds to the amount of time it takes to steam a drink. One thing that's really important to consider, though, with this machine and any other machine that uses a single heating element, thermocoil or boiler, is that the boiler or the thermocoil is going to take time to change temperature. And the temperature that you probably want for espresso is different than the temperature that you want for steaming. So there's going to be a bit of a lag in between pulling espresso and steaming milk. One thing that you can do if you want to cool down the group really quickly from like a high steaming temperature is just flush some water through the group, and that will kind of drop it back down. That's an extra step in your workflow, but to move up to a dual heating element, you're going to really increase your price. So it's a bit of a compromise in terms of workflow over dollar value. I do find that the drip tray, I don't totally love it. You have this grate that you pull out right here, and then you kind of got to slip your fingers in these metal holes to get the drip tray out. The whole thing is just a little bit awkward and maybe a little bit smaller than I would like. And one other thing that you got to look for is this discharge tube right here, which when you're done pulling your shot, any extra water in the system, it will kind of flush it out into the drip tray. It's external and it's movable. So if you move it out of the way to kind of get the drip tray out of the way to empty it, and then you forget to put it back, you know, you might spill some water over the edge of the machine, get on your counter. It just is something you got to watch and is maybe not the most seamless integration. One weird quirk of the Dream's design, and actually all the Ascaso machines up to the Duo, is with that volumetric programming. That's fantastic that they have included that at any of those price points. But it's plumbed into the machine in kind of a weird way. It comes before the OPV valve. But what that really means is that if you engage the OPV and it diverts water back into the reservoir to manage pressure, the flow meter is going to count that volume of water in part of your program. So that means that if you're running the machine in such a way that it engages the OPV on a regular basis, the volumetric programming in terms of what actually comes out of the espresso puck might not be consistent. Now, the better way to run it is to run it so that you're managing that pressure with your puck prep and not relying on the OPV to kind of navigate that pressure, and then your volumetric programming will be pretty consistent. Now, I don't know why the machine is designed that way, and in my opinion, there is a better design. I'm sure there's a good engineering reason or something to do with the parts why it is that way, but it's something I wish Ascaso would change. And one other issue that's not really related to the design or engineering of the Dream is related to stock and QC. Now, these machines have become really popular over the last couple of years, all of them, the Dream, the Uno, the Duo, and they are moving a lot more of these units in higher numbers. And as that has happened, Ascaso has needed to scale up its production. Now, as they've done that, you've seen more quality control issues starting to slip through the cracks. Now, when most people get a Dream, they love it right away and they use it and they keep loving it. And it doesn't really have any reliability issues, at least on the whole from what I've seen. But you see the occasional report of somebody who has gotten one of these machines, they get it, they open it out of the box, and it's throwing an error code. And then even worse, sometimes they try and return it and now the machine is out of stock. So I know this is something via my partners at Espresso Parts that Ascaso in Spain is working on as they're increasing their production. I hope to see it resolved soon, but if you're considering this machine, that risk is just something to weigh. Overall though, for the price and the features that are offered in this machine, the Dream gives incredible value. What's really crazy about it is internals and feature-wise, it's actually identical to an Ascaso Uno, just in a different case. So if you're looking at an Uno and you like the styling of the Dream, you almost should just get a Dream because it's a couple $100s cheaper. And the Uno has almost all the features of the Ascaso Duo, excepting that extra dual heating element to speed up your service a little bit. But it's pretty crazy that Ascaso has taken most of the features that are in the Duo and all of the features that are in the Uno, it's literally identical to the Uno, and put it in this package, done this cool different case, and offered it at a lower price. If you're looking for the most amount of features that you can get for your money in a package that looks great on your counter, the Dream is a fantastic option for you to consider. But I want to hear what you think about the Dream. Let me know in the comments. Is this styling, does it do it for you, or is it a bit of a turnoff? Because you see people on either side of the fence on that one. Some people don't actually care about all those extra features and they would actually prefer to go with a boiler. That might be you. If it is, let me know in the comments. And if you do want to see what it looks like to jump up to that extra price point, get the extra heating element that the Duo offers, I have a video review of that machine and you can check that out right here. Until next time, happy brewing.